If one were to look closely at what kind of season this has been for the Toronto Raptors, it would look like one hell of a roller coaster ride to say the least. See, the Raptors started off their 2021-2022 regular season with multiple new faces, added from both the NBA draft and the free agency. But what made the start of this season that much more difficult was having to play without star player Pascal Siakam, as well as 2020-2021 sixth man candidate Chris Boucher. And it didn't help either that a useful depth piece in Yuta Watanabe was sidelined due to injury, forcing head coach Nick Nurse to have to make do with what he had. And this proved problematic at the time, as despite a blazing hot start to the season for Raptor rookie sensation Scottie Barnes, Toronto started off the campaign with a losing record of 9-13. Shortly after that, it did take some time, but once Siakam returned and brushed off what were some early season questions of whether he would ever be able to show at least some semblance of his previous All-Star form, the Raptors were rolling and propelling themselves behind a breakout season from GTJ, a full return and even further improvement of Siakam's All-Star form, an ever-improving two-way phenom in OG Anunoby, and of course the inevitable rise of undrafted first-time All-Star Fred Vanvleet. At which point the Raptors went from Eastern Conference bottom feeders with a play-in tournament ceiling to a top 6 team with a first-round series guarantee. And they did this in a matter of weeks. And heading into the All-Star break, the Raptors were legitimately the hottest team in the East, having gone on an impressive 8-game win streak, which included wins against top-tier opponents such as the top-seeded Miami Heat and the Chicago Bulls. And side note, just wanted to thank everybody that has supported me in my journey so far to 100k. I just hit 1k on the channel and it's only 4 months old. I'm super grateful. And having said that, I did notice that only 5.2% of you right now that are actually watching are subscribed to the channel. So if you haven't already, please do hit that subscribe button. It really does make a world of difference. And smash that like button while you're at it, so that this video can get to more NBA fans such as yourself. But fast forward to today, and the team has, it seems, taken a complete 180. At least for the first 2 games coming off the All-Star break, having lost by 27 points to Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks, as well as having absorbed a 32-point stingfest from LaMelo Ball and the Charlotte Hornets. The pair of losses saw the Raptors lose consecutive games by more than 20 points, and considering the fact that the second last game before the All-Star break saw the team take another 29-point blowout L, it's not an overstatement to say that, at least for the last 3 or 4 games, the Toronto Raptors have not been this bad in 10 years. That's a whole decade. And while mistakes can and do inevitably occur with most teams, especially throughout the course of an 82-game NBA regular season, it's the timing of this mini-slide that is the most worrisome if you're a Raptors fan. Questions such as, will they turn things around? Are they overrated? Should the team just tank from here on out? These questions are certainly understandable, especially considering that coming out of the All-Star break is a crucial time for teams with postseason aspirations, as a lot of them are jockeying to solidify their positions in the standings. And with key starter OG Anunoby out with a broken finger till at least March 6th according to the most recent update, and with Vanvleet playing through nagging knee soreness, and not to mention Siakam through a non-COVID related illness is also battling, this recent slide, albeit brief, was most definitely significantly impacted by these untimely health issues. Now, can the Raptors turn things around? Fred Vanvleet certainly thinks so. And I believe this will provide some assurance to Raptors Nation on the team's mentality coming from its all-star leader. You guys can overreact and write whatever you want, I really don't care. Everybody wants to jump to conclusions. We didn't come out of the gate after the All-Star break like we wanted to, but I believe in this team. And I take full responsibility for the poor performances, and I'm looking forward to getting this team back to where we need to be. Now, coming from a man who has been doubted his whole life, the gravity of those words are much heavier than if they were to say come from just any other NBA player, with all due respect. Need I remind everyone that this is coming from a player who has said to a restaurant full of his friends and family on the night that he went undrafted the following words.
20,000 a year, 10,000 a year. Turn those down, I bet on myself. Obviously, everybody's dreaming to get drafted, as a kid growing up. Again, just thank everybody for coming out. My story don't end here. It's just the beginning. It wouldn't really make sense for my story if I did get picked. I've been against the odds my whole life, and it's not going to stop now.
we all know at the end that words are just words, and actions speak much louder. So until we see results, no matter what is said about the last two contests, if we want to call them that, the only surefire way to remove the horrendous aftertaste that these L's have left would be the sweetness provided by a solid W, a convincing W. And the Raptors will have the opportunity to do just this as they're facing a depleted Brooklyn Nets team tomorrow. Now this is super important if the Raptors want to get back on track. They will have to learn what brought them to the position that they're in the first place. They need to reinstill some key values of theirs. When this team is ensuring that they're playing with a hard work ethic, high ball IQ, and unrelenting defense, which in turn presents them with the opportunities on the offensive glass or via turnovers sufficiently enough to open up opportunities that will ultimately help compensate for some of the team's more blatant limitations when it comes to shooting the ball or grabbing boards around their own basket. When the team is playing this way and sticking to their values and principles, they are a force, and they have proven that with W's against some of the best teams in the league this season. And not having your team's defensive anchor, as well as one of your best two-way players in OG Anunoby, is really not going to help the team get out of this recently short-lived, albeit horrific, mini slump. Having said this, however, the team still has viable firepower, and if they are able to get Fred Vanvleet and his ailing knee issues a little veteran assurance, which I made a take about and I'll leave that for you on the top right here. If they are able to get Fred Vanvleet that assurance, and maybe as a bonus sign a 7-foot big man like I did talk about in that video as well, if they're able to do these things, the last two games will be in no time seen as a nightmare of the past, and the luminescence of the light that has shined so brightly in Raptors Nation in 2022 will continue to illuminate even brighter in what is sure to be an interesting final stretch as we head towards a potential postseason berth. I recently made a take on former Raptor DeMar DeRozan, where I take a deep dive into the history that he's been making, as well as go over the recent hype which has seen one of the greatest Raptors of all time become amongst the front runners for this year's league MVP honors. You do not want to miss that one, especially if you enjoyed this one. And remember, if you do watch it, you'll be feeding a hungry African. Seriously, I'm African, and I get hungry a lot. Got some munchies?